Hi everyone, it's Jane. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Little Lips Knitting. Today's video is going to be quite a short one. Firstly, because it hasn't been that long since my last podcast episode, so I just don't have that many updates. Secondly, because I also just don't have very much time today to record or edit. I'm going on holiday very soon, so I know that I won't have much time over the next couple of weeks to record, so I'm doing it now. It just seemed like a good time to do it. I'm going to talk through some of my recent finished objects, including a new pattern release, which is quite exciting, and some works in progress. I do have a couple of new cast-ons actually this past couple of weeks, and yeah, some new yarn as well that I've got. So I will begin, I guess, with the pattern release. So it's a bit of self-promotion, and I released today the pattern for my Carradale socks. So I will show you. This is the pair that I have finished most recently. This pair is for myself, and this is the all over color work version. So there's two different styles, well, three different styles really included in the pattern. There's style A, which is the color work around the cuff only. And this was the first pair that I made. This was for my partner for his Christmas present. They're a little bit scruffy now. I'm happy that he likes them enough to wear them that much. And style B is the all over color work version. There's not a lot of difference, but there's just like a few small differences in how it's constructed, especially when you get to the heel. So it's just worth bearing in mind if you do follow the pattern that you need to be following the instructions for whichever style you're working on. And finally, the third option included is this kind of all over color work, but multicolored. So in this version, I've only used 2 colors. And in this one, I've used 8. So there's essentially 7 contrast colors in it. So there's different charts as well, depending on which style you choose. And the chart for the multicolored version only goes up to 4 colors. So up to like the light pink. And then if you follow the chart, then it would just repeat with the blue, dark blue again here. But you could do more colors as I have, and you just do a different color. Whenever it's time to change a color, you just choose a different color. So yeah, I like how this one's turned out too. I need to knit the second sock version of this one, but I was just a bit more excited to get these ones finished. But I do love them all, and I'm really happy with it. So the pattern is inspired by like the traditional Scottish Argyle pattern, and this is a pattern that like we see a lot in golf clothes. So that was kind of why I chose it to make. This one is on a sock blocker because I just washed it. I chose it for my partner's Christmas present because he plays a lot of golf. So I just thought it'd be like a nice little nod to that. Also just like a really fun pattern to do, quite satisfying to like work through. So it's worked cuff down. It's got a 2x2 rib cuff. Then you've got the colour work section. And for this one, it's just stocking stitch the rest of the way. It's got a short row heel. I use the shadow wrap short row method, which I think gives really neat results. It's my favourite short row method that I've tried so far for heels. Usually I prefer a heel flapping gusset for socks because I think it fits a bit better. But I think, but the short row one just works better with the all over version. I mean, if you are a skilled enough knitter, you could maybe like adapt this to have a heel flap and gusset. I mean, you know, all heel flaps and gusset at some point, they kind of worked in the same way. But I just did the short row heel just because that's what the pattern says. But I think this one does fit pretty well. Like I don't have any issues, or he doesn't have any issues rather, with how it fits. It seems to fit him quite well. This is the size 3. There's 3 sizes in the pattern, and I should mention that too. I made the size 2 for myself. Just for reference, I have UK size 5 feet, which is like an EU 38, US 7, I think. And they're kind of on the small side, like a small 5. So I made the size 2 for myself, but of course it's more based on like your foot circumference rather than your shoe size. But I think like to some extent it will kind of be proportionate, like the bigger your foot, then it'll probably be slightly wider as well. I used 2.25mm needles for the stocking stitch parts and 2.5mm needles for the colour work part, just to give it a bit of extra stretch. Yeah, I think that's all the kind of details about the pattern. It's currently on sale, so I made a Ravelry discount code. It's Carradale 20. I'll put it up here so you can see how it's written. I'll put it down below as well and put the link there as well. And yeah, that coupon code was for 20% off, and it's valid on all the patterns in my store. I say all the patterns, I only have 2 paid patterns, so all 2 of them. But you know, the Penelope socks are also paid, but you can use the code Penelope to get them for free, and that code will always be there. But if you wanted to pay for them as well, the coupon code is valid for them as well. So that coupon code will be valid until the end of the day this Saturday, so that is the 15th of March 2025, just in case you're watching this in the future. And that's the end of the day, so midnight, but that's Pacific time. So if you're on the west coast of America, it'll be midnight for you guys. And if you're in the UK like me, it will be 8 AM on Sunday it will end. So yeah, I don't have much more to say about them at this moment. I'm really happy with how they've all turned out. I love this pair, and I'm kind of keen to start working on another sock now, but I do have a lot of other projects on the go, as you will see, so it might be a while before I pick one up. The name, by the way, Carradale, this comes from the small town / village of called Carradale in Scotland, and it's on the Kintyre Peninsula. And I named them after that town because, so I mentioned this is kind of like golf inspired before, like especially this one. I'm not a golfer, but I played my first and, as of today, only round of golf in Carradale in Scotland. So they've got a beautiful golf course. We go there on holiday sometimes, not to play golf, but as I say, my partner, he does really like golf, so he managed to convince me to play around when we were there last summer, and it was really fun. I did really enjoy myself. Like, it was a beautiful golf course. It's got amazing views over the Isle of Arran and like some of the small islands in that like area of Scotland. So I can really see the appeal of golf if all golf courses had that amazing view. It was also just really nice weather that day, which is not always a given in Scotland. So yeah, it was a really nice day, and it was inspired to name my socks after that town. But yeah, it's just a nice little link. It's kind of nice when pattern names have like some kind of meaning behind them. Like, they don't always have to. Like the Penelope socks was literally just because I was watching Bridgerton as I was writing the pattern. And the Giverny socks I named like after Giverny in France, which I also visited last summer. And yeah, when I designed the pattern, I just like had in mind kind of the kind of cottagecore aesthetic, like country gardens, houses with vines on them. And Giverny had just had one of the most beautiful gardens and like floral displays that I've ever been to. It was beautiful. Definitely worth a visit if you're in Paris. Strangely, like, I lived in Paris for 2 years and I never visited Giverny. It was one of those things where when you live there, you think, oh, I could do it anytime. So, and in the end, you never do it. So when I went to Paris last summer for the Olympics, we were staying really close to Giverny. We got to visit and it was beautiful. It's really, really busy with tourists, obviously. But it is definitely worth it. Like, you get to see Monet's old studios and like the lake where he painted the water lilies. Yeah, they just have some really gorgeous flowers. Like, I was just going around taking pictures and just getting like inspiration for my own garden, which haha, like, I am terrible at gardening. I can't keep plants alive. Anyway, I'm rambling now. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about these socks, really. I hope you like the pattern. And yeah. The next finished object, I did show it in my last video. It was very close to being finished in my last video. I think I had like put the bottom stitches on a try-on cord so I could block it and check the length. So I did that, and I added a couple of rows, and now it's finished. So it is my camisole number, I don't know, I've lost track, 11? I'm not sure, I'll double check. By My Favourite Things Knitwear. So this is what it looks like. I really love it, and it blocks really beautifully. Like, lace always blocks so well. Like, it's so important to block lace knitting. I always block everything anyway. I know some people don't, but lace, like, you have to block lace because it looks like nothing. It looks all scrunched up before blocking, but it just kind of all evens out so beautifully after blocking. And yeah, so I'll hold it up and you can maybe see the pattern a bit better. Yeah, it's kind of like a mixture of garter stitch, like double garter stitch, and lace. So it's a very simple, like 8-row repeat. Quite addictive to do. I worked through this one so quickly. The front and the back are knitted exactly the same. It's got this like boat neck design, which I think is really flattering. Yeah, you can just like imagine it. Imagine me wearing it. I cast on with a 4mm needle, but then I knitted it all in a 4.5mm needle, which is the recommended size because the pattern suggested to cast on tightly to keep the neckline neat. But I found that that worked quite well, like going down a needle size. And yeah, I'd made one small modification, which I did mention in the last video, but I'll just mention it again. I thought that the armholes were looking quite deep when I was knitting it, so I just joined it all in the round, like maybe 4 rows sooner than what the pattern suggested, and this meant that there weren't as many increases on the body, so I cast on 2 stitches at each underarm to make up for a few of those stitches. The overall thing is still like a couple of stitches fewer than what the pattern suggested, but I'm happy with that because it's quite roomy. I think I made the second smallest size. Like, I can't remember how she sizes the patterns, but it's like either the size 2 or the size S. Yeah, that one. I really like the yarn. It's really soft, but it feels very cool as well. I used King Cole Linendale, and this is the colour Damson. And this is like a cotton linen viscose blend. It's very similar in composition and in weight to Drop Spell or Sandnes Garn Lean. So these are like double knit, like cotton linen-y yarns. I mean, the linen content is very low in comparison to cotton, but it really gives it like a nice texture. Like it's not as roundy as like 100% cotton is. It's just got a lovely texture to it. So yeah, I'm really happy about this. I think it's going to make a really nice summer top. It's quite lightweight. It feels like it's going to be cool and airy. I did mention that I was like hoping to finish it in time for this holiday I've got coming up in Spain, but I've just checked the weather for Malaga and it is supposed to be raining, so we'll see about that. But I will pack it anyway. You know, I'm always an optimist. We'll see. But either way, I'm very happy to have it finished because I know that I will get wear out of it this summer at least. That's all my finished objects. I do have a couple of new cast-ons though since my last episode. So I'll show you the one that I'm working on like more actively first. I haven't done a test knit in a couple of years. I've just not really felt the urge to apply to any. But recently, Sophie from the Knit Purl Girl, she did a test call for one of her new summer top designs, the Lise top. I could be wrong about how it's pronounced, but I'll put the name in somewhere. The Lise top. It's like I'll show you what I've got so far anyway. So as you can see, I've kind of made progress in the yoke. So this is a summer t-shirt. So it uses like a lightweight summery yarns, but it will have long sleeves. At least mine will. I think there's options for both short sleeve version and long sleeve version, but I just thought this would look really nice with long sleeves in this color particularly, because it will be nice, I think, for the kind of in-between seasons when it's not quite cold enough for a jumper, but not quite hot enough for like my summer tops. The body is knit in stocking stitch and the sleeves are knit in 2x2 broken rib, which I think it just looks so elegant. Sophie's version is in like this really beautiful powder blue. It just looks really like elegant and lovely. So the recommended yarn, well, the yarn that Sophie used in her version is 1 strand of the Gaypad Cotton Wool 3, and this is like the 4-ply cotton and wool blend, like kind of 50-50 more or less cotton and wool, and held together with 1 strand of Isager Trio 1, which is a lace weight linen. I actually have some here, so I'll check for you. It is 50% linen, 30% cotton, and 20% lyocell. So it's like lightweight, cool, airy. So I'm using 1 strand of Trio 1, and I got this color, which is called Strawberry. It is beautiful. I just fell in love with this color when I saw it, and I knew that it needed to be red. I'll kind of hold it up so you can see better. But the Trio 1 has this beautiful sheen to it as well, which it's just gorgeous. I'm so tempted to get some of the Trio 2, which is it's like double the thickness of this one, in this exact color, to make more summer tops, because like I just want to eat it. And also it's called Strawberry, and that just makes me want to eat it even more. When yarn brands give their different colorways such delicious names, it does make me more likely to want to buy them. Like I don't know, I'm just like a victim of marketing, but it does sound delicious. So I'm pairing this with a very similar yarn to the recommended one. It's not the same one. I was going to use the cotton wool originally because I really wanted to try it, but it wasn't in stock in red. And by that point I'd already like had my heart set on this red. I looked at various options. I did look at getting the Trio 2 and holding it single, but I was just a bit worried that it wouldn't be quite thick enough on its own. In the end, like when I joined the Test Knitter group chat, someone else mentioned that they were using this yarn, which is BC Garn Bio Balance. And this is also a 4-ply. It's 55% wool, 45% cotton. So it sounded quite similar to the other one. So I thought it would work well. I have used in the past Knitting for Olive's cotton merino, and that was another one that I considered as well. But this one just worked out a little bit cheaper, so I went for this one. There's 225 meters per 50 grams, and yeah, I think they're quite a good color match, so I'm really pleased with it. This was my swatch. I did my swatch on 4mm needles, which is the recommended needle size, but it came out a little bit big, like only 1 stitch. I think it's supposed to be 22 stitches per 10 centimeters, and this was 21 stitches. So I ended up using a 3.75mm needle to get the gauge. I think this one, the Bio Balance, might just be slightly thicker than the Gaypad. I'm not sure. It's definitely like thicker than the Knitting for Olive one that I mentioned before. Feels slightly more woolly, whereas the Knitting for Olive feels a little bit more cottony, and it's not as fluffy. It's quite smooth, and yeah, it's so soft though, and the fabric that it makes is going to be like really soft and like quite luxurious. So I'm really excited about this one. It's got a top-down construction, as you can see. You start by knitting in the round, and you like increase for the shoulders, and then split the front and the back, and knit those both separately, and then join in the round. I have just joined mine in the round, and I am like slightly concerned that the sleeve depth, it does look quite shallow, and I tried it on and it kind of sits like right in my underarm. I'm hoping this is something that will be fixed with blocking. I might just block this as it is, just to see how much it grows while blocking, and I might even start knitting just like one of the sleeves, just to see if I need to add any more rows in the yoke, because I don't want to like get to the end and then realize that it's too small, especially because I've got down a needle size. Although I have the gauge right, and so I don't think it should be too much of a problem, and it's more like the row gauge if anything. But in this pattern, you're like knitting to a certain length rather than knitting to number of rows, so the row gauge shouldn't really be an issue for that. but I will double check anyway because not that far in, so it's better to get it right now than have to go back and change everything. I started this on Sunday, so this is like 3 days worth of knitting, which, you know, I've just been I always get work through yokes really quickly, I find, and then when I get to the just knitting stocking stitch in the round part, that's when I start to put it off. But because this is a test knit, I do want to focus on this one more. Okay, yeah, that's all there is to say about that one for now. I just love this color so much. I think it's going to be really flattering. I've had the urge to knit something red for a long time. Like, I do think red suits me, and I'm trying to like make an effort to pick better colors really. So yeah, I do have another work in progress. I hadn't shown this one in the last video, I hadn't started it at that point, but I think I showed a swatch in an earlier video. So I'll show you what I've done. Okay, this is what I've got so far. I mentioned in a previous video that I really want to do a lace cardigan using the same lace pattern as my Giverny socks, so a Giverny cardigan essentially. And I kind of had it all worked out in my mind. I knew what I wanted the shoulder construction to look like. It's got this kind of saddle shoulder. I'm still working on the yoke, so this is as far as I've got. I'm going to have a round neck. At the moment I'm undecided about the ribbing. Like, I don't know whether I'm going to do 2x2 rib, because the base for the lace pattern is like a 2x2 rib, so it would kind of flow really well. I don't know, I haven't decided. I might like try one, see how it looks. I think with the 2x2 rib, the only thing is I'll need to make sure that it like lines up around the collar, which in theory it won't be too difficult. So I'll talk a little bit about the yarn. I'm using Filcolana Pernilla, which is, it's sometimes classed as a DK, it's sometimes classed as a 4-ply. It's kind of in between, I guess, like a sport weight. It's 175 meters per 50 grams. I am knitting it on a 4mm needle though, and like it does work as like a light DK. Like, it doesn't feel like it's going to be too gappy. I'm using this yarn because I wanted it to be lightweight. Like, I had in my mind it would be a good like spring summer cardigan, and especially like being lace isn't going to keep you too warm because of all the holes in it, so there's no point using like a really thick heavy wool that's going to just let the air through it anyway. Yeah, I have been having a lot of fun with this one. Like, the construction has been really fun, the lace pattern has been really fun, and it's been like a bit of a challenge making it all line up so that at the end of the increases, like the lace pattern will still line up. It's only an 8-stitch pattern repeat, but it's I think I've got it worked out, fingers crossed. I don't know if I'm going to write this one into a pattern yet. It was the plan, but as I say, it's just been a challenge, like getting all the numbers to work. So if I can get the numbers to work for the other sizes, then yeah, great, I will write it up. So far, they do work out quite well for the size that I'm knitting. Okay, just sort of trying it on one shoulder so you can kind of see how much I've got and like how the increases work. So at the beginning, it's just the body that's increased, and then you increase for the sleeve, and then you increase both the body and the sleeve. It's a construction that I've used before in other patterns, and I really like the fit that you get from it at the end. Yeah, it's a challenge, you know, it's a fun challenge, but it's something to work on. So I think that's my only other work in progress, at least the one that I've kind of been actively working on. I have just kind of put this to the side for now while I work on this test knit. It would be good to get that out of the way just so I can send the feedback and then focus more on this one. Oh, actually, I do have one more cast on, but I've like barely made any progress, as you will soon see. Yeah, I've knitted like one round, so not very much progress at all. Oh, it's all tangled. Ah. Oh yeah, I didn't mention this before, but as I say, I really like these yarns, but the trio one gets tangled so badly. Like I spent most of yesterday morning just untangling it all. It's like, as you can see, it just wants to come away from the skein, and yeah, like what is going on there? You have to be very careful with it. I just find myself constantly just like winding it back up because it all just wants to come away. I think it's just maybe the type of material that it is, like having so much linen, maybe it's not as like, it doesn't keep its shape as much as something like wool, which just kind of wants to stay in ball form, whereas this one just does not want to stay. It just wants to be free, it wants to get in tangles, also because of how fine it is. It's almost like a thread. Because of that, it does just tangle more. So as I was saying, so this, I've only done like one round, so it's basically just cast it on. This is going to be the Iris tank top, or Iris top, Iris tank by Along Avec Anna. And I mentioned this in my last episode, maybe, that I had started knitting this a few years ago. It's knit bottom up, so I got to the point where you kind of stop knitting in the round and you start to work on like the front and the back panels. And I realised at that point that I had twisted the cast on edge. How I never realised before, I don't know. I think I was just like, must have just been like really in the zone when I was knitting it. Like, I don't know. It's really fun to knit though. It's got a really fun lace pattern. So I'm now going to re-knit it. I've got a different yarn this time. This is the Knitting for Olive Merino. This is the colour Powder, which is very, very pale pink. And the reason that I cast this on and then just kind of left it like this is because I thought this would be a good one to take with me on holiday. I don't really tend to do a lot of knitting on holiday, just because I have a small child, so there's not really very much time usually. But it's nice to have like a small project in my bag, like either socks or something like this, where I only need like to take 2 skeins with me really, and it's quite lightweight as well, so it's easy to carry and fit into my suitcase. It would be nice to take my Lise top with me, but I just think because of it's got different balls of yarn, this yarn needs to be wound into cakes as well. I'm not going to bother taking that one. So yeah, we'll see how much I get done when I'm away. That's all there is to say about that one. Okay, I said this was going to be short, but it's turning out to be a lot longer than I had planned. Yeah, finally I have bought some more yarn. More yarn. I have bought a lot of yarn this past couple of weeks, I've realised. I don't normally buy this much. I mean, I don't know whether I need to make excuses for myself, like I'm sure it's fine, but the reason that I have bought so much was because I had a couple of gift cards to use up from Christmas and for my birthday, which was last month, and I don't really like to let gift cards sit around too long. Firstly because I worry that I'll forget about them, and secondly because like the price of wool just increases all the time. Like it's getting so expensive, so you know, £50 or £25 like in a few months time probably won't go as far. So I feel like I need to use them when I get them so that I can get more for my money. And also, like, I always know what I want to get anyway. I had projects in mind that I knew I wanted to get the yarn for, so I knew that I'd be buying it to kind of put it aside for when I have finished some other things. Okay, this is the yarn that I've got. I mean, there's a bit more, but these are the 3 different kinds. And this is to make the sweater number 12. This is another one which I mentioned in a previous video. It's been on my wish list for so long, basically. I think it's just such a beautiful, classic, elegant style. I love stripes. I wear them all the time, so it makes sense to knit more things in stripes. And I did a swatch, which I showed also in a previous video, which I just used Sandnes Garn Sunday held double, and I really liked how it looked. I knew I wanted to do a mohair free version because, I don't know, sometimes mohair, I just find it a little bit tickly around my neck. I know because this is such like a classic style that it's going to be one that I'll want to wear all the time, and I thought I'm more likely to wear it if it's just like something nice and soft like a merino, where it's not going to be scratchy, it's not going to irritate me. And I wanted to go for something that was going to be good quality and that was going to last a long time as well. I chose Sandnes Sunday because it just kind of ticks all of those boxes. And I chose a Sunday rather than a double Sunday because I wanted to get 2 different colours and hold them together. They do look really different actually, like when I hold them up on camera. So this one, I think this one is called Marzipan. The number is 2321. And this one is called Almond, and it's 2511. So this is like, they're both an off-white, but this one's much more yellow, whereas this one is a bit more neutral, maybe like slightly pink leaning. This one's definitely much cooler. This one is warmer. So I'm going to kind of hold them together and see what happens there. With the navy, for the navy stripes, I am just using this one color, 5882. Don't remember what its name was, marine blue maybe, but it's just like a dark navy. But yeah, so that's the plan for those. As I say, I'm not going to cast it on just yet. It's another like DK weight 4mm needle job, so I'll need to at least wait until my 4mm needles are free because they are currently tied up in other projects that I just shown. Okay, the last thing that I want to show, I actually bought these about a month ago, but when I was recording my last video, I had misplaced them, so I couldn't show you them. But I really want to show them because they're so cute. It's some new stitch markers. These are from Bubbles and Berries, and they are hand embroidered stitch markers. I have never bought fancy stitch markers before. I just usually use those kind of ones that look like safety pins, but these ones I just couldn't resist, and you'll see why. They're so cute. So this one has got a Highland cow. I love Highland cows so much, like I can't resist anything Highland cow. A thistle and little sheep. It's so cute. So they were so cute, and obviously like the Scotland theme. Like I don't live in Scotland anymore, I live in Yorkshire, and I get very homesick. So when I see things like this, I'm like, oh, I have to have it. I need to like have something that reminds me of home. And on that note, this one is like one I bought separately, and it's called Iona, and it is like inspired by the views from the Isle of Iona, which is another place that I visited last summer. It was beautiful. It was a lovely day when we went there, and one of the most beautiful places I've been to. It was gorgeous. I really, really loved it. And there's a really nice wool shop there as well. I did buy some wool, which I don't have it on hand at the moment, but I'll show it in another video. Yeah, just a really, really nice place. And they don't allow cars on, or only the people who live there. I think you need to apply for like a special permit to take your car on. So it's just very, very peaceful. And you can just like walk the entire length of the island, and there's beautiful beaches, really nice coffee, which I wasn't expecting in such a small place. Yeah, just a lovely place. So again, I just couldn't resist. I thought it will go really well with my Iona wool when I get round to knitting that one up. So yeah, these are really cute. And I was trying to like wait until I had shown them to you in the packaging until I took them off and started using them. So now I can start using them. So yeah, that is everything now. I mean, in any case, I have run out of time. So I said this would be really short, but it ended up probably being quite long. But yeah, just wanted to update you with those things. Yeah, I will be back soon with more videos, more updates. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.